Fear and Hunger, Clash of the Ancient Gods. Fear and Hunger is a horror game series written in the dark fantasy genre and created by Miro Havrinen, a developer from Finland. The game combines elements of survival horror and dungeon exploration with a dark atmosphere and extremely high difficulty. Battles in Fear and Hunger are turn-based, similar to classic role-playing games, but with a twist. You can target different positions and body parts of the enemies, so use clever tactics to fight and survive. However, enemies can also do the same to you, so be well prepared for encounters if you want to stay alive. Otherwise, running away might be the best option if victory seems unlikely. When starting the game, you choose a character for combat, including Kahara, a mercenary, Darce, a female knight, Enki and Carrion, a shadow priest, and finally Ragnvald, an outsider. Afterward, you go through a short storyline to make choices for your adventure. This affects your equipment and starting skills. Regardless of your decisions, your character will be taken to a large fortress. Here, when trying to enter the castle, a pack of hunting dogs will rush in and attack you. You're not their match and will easily get torn apart. This makes you realize that the combat mechanism in this game is quite luck-based, featuring an RNG, random number generator, system. You have to flip a coin for every decision, including fighting monsters or looting items. So, all your choices are essentially 50-50. Even saving the game when going to sleep depends on flipping a coin. On an easier path located on the side of the castle, a gate leads you to a dark dungeon. However, your strength and willpower will gradually be drained by the dark and suffocating atmosphere of this place. There are two main stats you always need to keep an eye on, namely Mind and Hunger. If the Mind stat drops to 50, you'll become insane and lose your sanity. Allowing the Hunger stat to become too high will result in your character slowly dying from starvation. Therefore, controlling these two stats will make survival in the dungeon easier. Next, let's delve into the main characters of the game. First, there's Kahara, a mercenary born in a city called Jataya in the eastern region. Abandoned by his parents, he had to fend for himself from a young age. To survive, young Kahara had to make a difficult decision: become a pickpocket, a thief, or fight by attempting to live an honorable life. Regardless of the career path chosen, his boundless soul always craved more than a mundane existence. Growing up, Kahara abandoned his previous career and joined various mercenary groups, mastering the dirtiest tricks to survive. Finally, he was accepted by a notorious veteran warrior and became a member of his criminal and veteran group. Together, they traveled across lands, raiding and plundering until Kahara settled in the kingdom of Rondon. Now in a new land, Kahara earns a living by working in the underworld of the kingdom, tempted by promises of wealth and a chance to change his life. Until one day, he meets the love of his life, Celeste, and he vows to give up the sword to take care of his family. But lacking money, he has to accept a mission from an anonymous figure in the royal court of Rondon. It involves entering the dungeon and safely bringing back a person named Lugard. The story of Enki and Carrion, one of the revered shadow priests who worships the ancient gods for magical power, takes a slightly different turn. He is a man who has cast aside all notions of morality to seek knowledge. While attempting to sacrifice himself to the ancient god Almer in order to abandon his frail mortal body, Enki saw a vision, or more accurately, a prophecy that a man with blonde hair would rise and usher in a new era for humanity. The one appearing in that prophecy is none other than Lugard. Therefore, Enki decides to venture into the dungeon to find Lugard and validate his prophecy. Ragnvald hails from the kingdom of Oldgard, an icy land in the north, known for producing advanced ships and powerful warriors. In his youth, he joined an expedition across the western seas to Vinland in search of treasure. This land was shrouded in darkness and influenced by a sinister atmosphere. Upon setting foot here, the entire crew in Ragnvaldr's group went mad and turned on each other. Ragnvaldr was one of the few fortunate survivors. He continued his journey, successfully finding an ancient artifact called the Cube of the Depths and bringing it back home. Later, a group of mercenaries known as the Knights of the Midnight Sun from the powerful kingdom of Rondon, located to the southwest of Oldgard, wreaked havoc in Ragnvaldr's homeland to seize the mysterious cubic artifact. Although Ragnvaldr survived, his wife and son did not. His tormented soul became the source of his misfortune, forcing him to live in agony. Upon returning with the cubic artifact, the Knights of the Midnight Sun attempted a coup to overthrow the kingdom of Rondon but failed. Their leader, Lugard, was captured and imprisoned in the dark and hunger-ridden dungeon. Therefore, Ragnvaldr sought him out for vengeance and to reclaim the cubic artifact. Lastly, there's Darce, the closest warrior to Lugard, once a holy knight of Rondon. She shattered her ideals in the face of the nobility's greed, who spoke of religious virtues while sending their armies to plunder and conquer for personal gain. She left her forces to join the Knights of the Midnight Sun, falling in love with their leader, Lugard. After the failed coup and Lugard's capture, she decided to risk entering the dark dungeon to rescue him. While the four characters come from different backgrounds and enter the dungeon with individual motives, they all ultimately share a common goal: to find Lugard and keep him alive. The condition to achieve this is for the player to locate Lugard's prison within 30 minutes. If not, he will be executed. However, things are not as simple as they seem, with many mysteries yet to be uncovered in the world of fear and hunger. Remember the stolen artifact, the Cube of the Depths? It's currently on the 6th floor of the dungeon, guarded by humanoid creatures known as cave dwellers. You need to get past them to retrieve the cubic artifact. With this relic in hand, you can easily reach a location called Mahabra, an ancient city long forgotten. The artifact serves as a key to open a teleportation gate, allowing you to travel between the present and the past of the city. This place is also known as the residence of the gods. The world in fear and hunger is heavily influenced by spiritual elements and gods. There are both ancient gods and new gods, with some existing for a long time and others appearing recently. Ancient gods are powerful, immortal beings that can bestow power upon worshippers and are creators of the world. Although there are 10 gods according to ancient symbols, only 6 gods have been revealed so far, including, Grogaroth is the god responsible for destruction and human sacrifice. Despite being considered the embodiment of death, he is not an evil god. His role is to pave the way for the development of humanity. Followers of Grogaroth receive formidable magical attacks and the ability to create and control the undead. Sylvian is Grogaroth's wife, the goddess of love and fertility, who created humans since the dawn of time. Both Sylvian and Grogaroth have a greenish hue, a sign of ancient gods. Many believe that these gods abandoned humanity long ago, as Sylvian felt unloved and unappreciated by humans for the love she bestowed upon them. God of the Depths is the deity of the deep abyss, an ancient and colossal creature worshipped by those abandoned in darkness, insects and soulless wretched creatures. Her body lies motionless in the dark shrine, and her influence is strong within the dungeon. She also serves as a vessel for giving birth to another god later, the god of fear and hunger. Rare is the god of the moon and deception, one of the last ancient gods still watching over humanity. He has many schemes to diminish the influence of the new gods. He and his followers commit atrocities, such as killing innocent children, to restrain the human potential for reproduction and development, thus evolving into the next gods. Vinushka, the god of nature, is the offspring of Grogaroth and Sylvian. It is said that his appearance can change depending on where he appears in the world. Like the unpredictability of nature, Vinushka's temperament also changes with the weather in his domain. Almer, or the Ascendant, is also one of the last ancient gods, born in Jataya and fostered by a virgin mother, believed to be a god-pretender hybrid. In the past, he gathered his 12 disciples to overthrow the old world order and establish a new one. Local corrupt kings and rulers felt threatened by the emergence of Almer and executed him by nailing him to the Holy Cross. When Almer took his last breath, he gained the power of the divine, joining the ranks of the ancient gods and leading a rebellion to eradicate corrupt rulers, ushering in a new era. Allmare became a revered god, and his teachings became the foundation for the laws of many kingdoms worldwide. There's also a lesser-known god that seems to fade in comparison to the other ancient gods, known as the Sulphur God. From scant information found, we know he is an elderly and obscure deity. The tale goes that during the carving of idols to become a god, Allmare discarded his subconscious filled with hatred into the sulfur pit. Over time, these discarded subconscious parts developed into a conscious entity with its own power. That's how the Sulphur God came into existence. However, in the real time of the game, the ancient gods abandoned Mahabra long ago, making way for the rule of the new gods. Unlike the ancient gods, the new gods are mere mortals, but they can awaken the powers and attain the immortal life of the gods by sitting on the golden throne at the center of the city of Mahabra. This is where Allmare ascended many years ago. A fellowship named Fellowship consisting of 5 individuals sought to become new gods: Francois, the ruler; Nilvan, the boundless; Volatile, the enlightened; Kambara, the tormented; and finally Nosramus, the 5th one. The name originates from the 5 coming together to the golden throne with the desire to become new gods. However, Nosramus ultimately didn't crave greatness enough and chose not to ascend. Therefore, only 4 new gods were created, and he became known as the 5th one. Apart from the 4 mentioned new gods, in a place known as the Grand Hall of the Gods, countless other new gods have withdrawn here in hiding. On the golden throne, there is now only one ruler, Francois. However, he is not respected and approved by the other new gods. Many want to overthrow him, including Lugard. Lugard's ambition is to become the supreme god, wanting power surpassing all other new gods, even on par with the ancient gods. Thus, Lugard's initial purpose was to set foot in Mahabra and reach the golden throne of ascension. It seems that his imprisonment in the Fear and Hunger dungeon was calculated in advance. To attain ultimate power, Lugard must defeat all the members of the Fellowship and seize their souls. When he has gathered all the souls, he will sit on the golden throne and commence the ascension process. Every new god possesses a unique soul. Lugard holds one of these souls, namely that of Nilvan, the soul of boundlessness. There has been a long-standing romantic relationship between Nilvan and Lugard, forming a special bond between them. Because of this, Nilvan gave a part of his soul to Lugard, and Lugard's ambition began from there. After meeting the player-controlled main character, Lugard will manipulate you to eliminate the other new gods. If you defeat the remaining 3 gods, including Volatile, Kambara, and Francois, we will have gathered the 4 souls. Finally, after all the new gods are defeated, Lugard will immediately take our place and sit on the throne of ascension. He is then taken to where the ancient gods reside, the Void. In this Void, he finally achieves his ambition, officially becoming a new god. This is precisely what happened to the man with golden hair that the dark priest Enki foresaw in the prophecy. If you choose to kneel before Lugard, he will grant freedom to everyone. Afterward, the Knights of the Midnight Sun return under the leadership of the new god Lugard. He quickly conquers all the kingdoms to the west and ascends to the throne, taking the title of the Yellow King, bringing prosperity to the entire western region. The dark period has come to a complete end, opening a new glorious chapter for humanity. Another ending unfolds when you control the character Kahara. At some point in the game, you will encounter the new god Nilvan in a blank white space. She asks you to find a little girl and take her out of the dungeon. According to the new gods in the Grand Hall, the girl is the seed of a new god. This implies that she is the child of Nilvan and Lugard. The fact that the girl can exist in a place like this suggests that she carries the body and essence of a god within her. If you bring the girl to the location of the god of the depths and proceed to a place called the Heart of Darkness, the girl will unleash a strange smile and begin to undergo a transformation. The ascension process occurs rapidly as the divine soul within the girl gradually awakens. Eventually, the girl becomes a new god, the god of fear and hunger, considered to be on par with the ancient gods. Regardless of whether this god is defeated or not, Kahara will slowly wither away in the deepest part of the dungeon. From there, a new era begins, known as the Era of Cruelty. If the one who ascends to the throne of ascension is not Lugard but the priest Enki, he will also be taken to the void and find the final journey for his sacred faith. In a moment, his mind will experience centuries of divine enlightenment. He sees that in the year 809 AD, 8 centuries before he was born on Earth, Enki became a new god, the one who attained enlightenment. That's the one with extraordinary strength and intelligence, the one who led humanity out of the Dark Ages and medieval nights. All that power is waiting for Enki to accept, but in return, the entire humanity would be trapped in an endless loop. The Dark Priest witnesses his own divinity but then decides to turn away, refusing the power that everyone craves. Instead, he returns to the present world where Lugard and his plan have failed, and the new gods have all been defeated. Enki uses his intellect to serve humanity. The Dark Priest becomes a respected scholar, and his treatise on the gods becomes the official work of religious scholarship for centuries to come. The legacy that Enki leaves for humanity contains many research values, even tying into Fear and Hunger Part 2. Another ending unfolds for Dars if you fail to find Lugard within 30 minutes, and he has been executed. Dars will cry out in despair. Out of blind love, she is determined to resurrect her lost love at any cost. When everything is said and done, somewhere in the libraries and laboratories of the city of Mahabra, Dars wakes up in a sleep-deprived and depressive state. With clues and instructions from here, she can learn and create a resurrection spell. Dars easily performs her resurrection spell by combining her blood with Lugard's. She returns to the dungeon, finds Lugard's corpse, and starts the resurrection ritual. After that, Lugard's skin is peeled off, a creature born from their mingled blood rises and identifies itself as a god. Deep in her delusions, she still believes this is the person she loves and that one day he might feel the same way. She continues to serve him as a loyal servant. However, it seems the new body and mind of Lugard have forgotten the dreams of the past. As for Ragnvaldr, in whichever ending, he continues to become a legend in a world full of vicious monsters, now known as the God of Violence. He travels the world with his loyal servants, companions, hunting and exterminating monsters throughout the remaining days. Until the existence of these creatures becomes nothing more than folklore passed down through generations.